Your favorite toy truck nerds are back. Welcome to That Scale RC Show.
Hey guys, what's up, and welcome back to this week's episode of That Scale RC Show. We are on episode 105, and I'm one of your hosts, Adam, alongside with Jay and Travis. What's up, guys? How's it been?
What's up?
Been good.
It's been good. It's been busy.
Yeah, I know.
It's been busy.
A couple weeks since we've been able to all three sit down and do this.
Yeah, I think it's been over a month for me. You guys recorded one while I was gone, and then I don't think we've recorded one at all in June otherwise. Yeah, I know it's been too long. The weeks blended together quick.
Yeah, and we have to apologize for that last one. That's what happens when we don't have Travis here. We fall apart.
I just hit the record button. That's all I do. And I upload it.
For some reason, when you hit record, it seems to work better.
Noted.
Yeah, it was weird. Last time, the two recording softwares that we used, the one for me and then one for the call, they both stalled out. I don't know if it was a bad internet connection or what happened, but both of them stalled out. And so the counter was running, but it wasn't showing the timeline of it. So we had to just kind of roll the dice and hope that it was okay, but
the gamble did not pay off.
No, it didn't. We were so far into it at that point where it was just well, I guess we just keep going, because we were almost done, and I had Chrome open and wasn't looking at the thing, looking at the software timeline. So yeah, it kind of sucked. Happens though.
It happens. It sucks.
It happens to the best of us.
But it happens.
Yeah.
Anything new though otherwise?
I'm just slowly starting to panic with the amount of time I have left to get my stuff together for Axial Fest West Coast.
Did they just announce the location of that today? Or has that been known? Okay.
It's been known. It's just the problem is they've been so I don't understand. Ever since Axial or Horizon started doing Badlands, it's the West Coast kind of just gets forgotten about. They keep promoting the Badlands, and I think the beginning was the fear of, oh, we're gonna have this other event and nobody's ever gonna show up to it because it has no
history,
publicity. There's nothing going on. Nobody knows about it. So I think they focus so much on that Axial Fest West Coast just kind of gets forgotten about. And the fact that even this year, once again, we have a whole nother new venue that it's it created this whole other, issue of what's going on. And, nobody knows what's going on. And it's just kind of, it's a little frustrating. But from my understanding, I guess it's just it's almost kind of back when, I guess back then it was, who was the original what was it, Hobbyco?
Yeah.
When Hobbyco was running Axial and Axial did Axial Fest at Cisco, they basically rented out the whole place, and it was whatever the rules are that Axial wants, those are the rules. From the understanding I have, that's kind of how it is with Rob's Resort. Basically, Horizon's renting it out, and it's Horizon's rules. If Horizon wants to create a quiet time, then that's going to be on Horizon. If they want to, because there's a lot of people freaking out. I was talking to Todd about this earlier today. There's a lot of people freaking out about generators. and like, oh, are we gonna, like, what are the rules, how long can we run them? And they heard like, or it's on Rob's resort's website that like at 8 p.m. you must turn off all generators. So people were freaking out, going, well, what are we going to do? Like, how are we supposed to keep things going? Like, they got night runs and all this, that, and the other. Like, are we supposed to just have everything going and it's gonna be the whole place gonna be pitch black after 8 o'clock? And I guess somebody contacted them and said, hey, Horizon rented it out. If they want to let you run generators throughout the night, you can run generators throughout the night.
Interesting.
Which is kind of annoying. So I don't think that they're gonna, allow that. It's gonna be, I think, kind of like Donner. So Donner, there was a, I think, 11 p.m. cutoff or a 10 p.m. cutoff with generators. Which is a little more now? Which is a little more, reasonable.
What's the cutoff? 10?
Well, supposedly when it's when you're at Rob's Resort, it's 8 p.m. But Rob's Resort supposedly let somebody know who called. It's all in the whatchamacallit, it's the one of the Axial Fest or Bust thread. They called and they said, oh no, Horizon's calling the shot, so it'll be up to them to pick a curfew.
Wow, interesting.
So, but yeah, so like I said, it's just funny because, like you said, oh, did they just announce that like the other day? I just noticed that like this is the first time I've seen any kind of like announcement that Axial Fest West is even going on. So you're just kind of like, interesting.
That is kind of strange.
So, but yep, it's like less than 2 weeks away. And yeah,
what's weird is each year at the Badlands one, it seems like it rains out, like just bad weather. And then almost right, immediately after, you've got Axial Fest West. So I don't know why they don't switch it around.
They honestly, they probably should. They probably should switch, the dates or keep Axial Fest West where it is and move Badlands to like August.
Yeah, like later in the year, because I think the last 2 years in a row has had some pretty substantial rain, if I remember right.
Yep. Unless they kind of plan that because they know that there might not be a lot of natural terrain, so maybe they want some mud for you to be able to drive through.
Yeah, that could be.
Hard to say. Mean, I don't know. So, but yeah. So, I still got lighting to take care of on this SCX6, and I think that's pretty much it. After that, I'm pretty much ready to go, but it's just finding time to do it. We're also at our final crunch time with our project, so mainly because they move in starting next Monday. Well, Monday furniture gets delivered, Tuesday more furniture gets delivered, then Wednesday they move in. So it's like all hands on deck, chaos, running around, yeah. By the time I'm off work, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to deal with any of this.
Yeah, that's not fun at all.
So I'm hoping to have everything done the weekend before I take off.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Just have everything ready to roll. I'm going to keep it all in one pile. Then Thursday after work, unload the tools, load everything up, and hit the road.
Nice.
But yeah, that's all I got going on.
Be a good time.
I hope. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, new event or new venue. Just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I heard from Matt Hawk today. He said that he's planning on going up Friday.
Oh, wow. Right
for the day. So hopefully you get to see him. So
that'll be fun.
But yeah, what do you guys got going on?
I painted the Ecto today. The Operation 11 Charlie one. I got it all cut out with an X-Acto, and then I did the adhesion promoter that I finally figured out actually would work pretty good, and then laid down all the white. So there's a couple little spots of dirt I got to sand out, and then hit it with matte clear, and then that body's pretty much ready to start being assembled. And then just got to get electronics here for it and put all the parts on, and should be good to go.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. It'd be nice to get that thing wrapped up.
Yeah, it's always nice to get projects wrapped up. I mean, I still have the copy cat, or whatever you want to call it, the carbon copy of my my 94 to do. I feel so bad. This guy on Instagram, Twisted Fab Co. I forget what his real name is. I think it's Casey something, like Casey McIntyre or McTire or something like that. He sent me some parts to start doing mock-up, and I just had no time to like even work on any leaf spring mock-up on that truck.
That's going to be a fun one though. Front and rear leafs, or just rear?
Front and rear, because it's going to be a carbon copy of my truck. My truck's
nice.
It leafed on all four corners.
That'll be cool. Very good. Travis drove a car the other day. Mm-hmm. He drove a crawler. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I drove one of the new EPX trucks. So yeah, that's really been what I've been working on. Which we finally announced. So we're bringing that back. We discontinued the old kit back in January, and so it had been kind of working on a bit of an update. I talked about it a little bit in the past, where this was kind of where the towers came into things, where we were releasing the towers, and then we wanted to do a full update to EPX, but then also just to kind of do some quality of life stuff along with it. So yeah, that we announced that this week, and that'll, we're just kind of wrapping some of that up and getting a bunch of content out there, and finishing up a little bit like what's going in the box. But yeah, we'll be shipping that this month. So yeah, big one nice. Getting wrapped up there. But that's why I was driving.
Fun. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a real toss-up between the servo and axle truck and the CMS truck. It was like you could barely even tell a difference between the two.
Really?
Pretty crazy. Yeah. Like when we were finished with that day, it was so satisfying, because like after driving both versions that people are most likely to build, like I'm really, really confident that people are gonna like it. Like when we got done, I was like, "Damn, dude, that is a really good truck.
It is
like,
so good.
People are gonna enjoy this." So
yeah,
it's been like this buzz ever since we got back from driving.
I knew it'd be good, but like I was really impressed. Really, like, because I was telling him that, like, after I kind of did my first run of driving around, I was like, there's not one bit of this that has made me go, man, I really wish my servo was axle mounted. Everything, it was just super stable and planted. And so a lot of that, like the place that we took it to out in Snoqualmie, is this place we've been before. We did like our Bronco video and stuff there, not the Bronco, the Scout video and stuff there. And it's not a very big place, there's not much to see. And it really depends on the time of year, with the water level and everything from the mountains, because it's right at the base of the pass. And, but it's like, it's really good, like terrain for, testing, like it's a really good proving ground. And yeah, they were both just so stable everywhere. I'm obviously I can't sit here and say that, a CMS is as good or better as the axle mounted, I mean, there's not an argument there, but, yeah, I was really amazed on how close they performed to each other. Like I said, I'd be perfectly happy never axle mounting my servo in mine, which is the chassis mounted one, that I did up for promo and stuff. So Yeah, it was good. It was really good validation of, I've said this so many times before. I mean, you can mess with weight and this and that or whatever, but I mean, you can't beat good geometry, and that's like what the old kit was about, and that's what this one is too. So it's nice to kind of see that in action and have that reaffirmed a bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't, you could hand either one to me and I wouldn't be sad. Like I would be fine
Yeah.
driving either version. It really didn't bother me. I like both of them equally.
Yeah. So
I rebuilt my shocks with those bleeder caps, and I didn't have any 40 weight like what's in yours, but I started thinking about it, and with that little bit of extra weight from having the servo on the axle, the axle's heavier now on mine, and so I went 42.5 on both ends instead of 40 like what you did, just because the weight placement's slightly different. So I'm excited to try it out and see how it is, because I definitely liked how your shocks were on that with the 40 weight.
See, and what's funny? There's a lot of people that really ask that question, like, does the different shock weight front and rear, does that really do anything? And I've actually been a firm believer that it does, mainly based off of like what you guys are saying. And it's also kind of like, if you think about it, it's kind of like the dynamics of even like a real vehicle. The front's going to be a different weight than the rear, especially if you're having something that has more of a motor forward. Plus you got the servo, like, there's going to be more weight. So if you tune that differently than you tune the rear, because the rear typically doesn't have anything, just like a real, pickup truck would, you're going to want a different rate, and I've noticed, if, at least just for me, if you keep the rear a little more stiff, like, thicker shock weight, it seems to want to like keep it planted when you're doing a lot of climbs, but that's just from what I've seen.
Yeah, I want the axle to move as slow as possible. I mean, obviously there's like a line that you draw and it's like, okay, this is too much and it's not moving nearly quickly enough. But like when you're floating a wheel over something, or you're going you've got one, let's say, front tire that's going to drop down in a crevice or whatever, I like having thicker oil just so that if you do have to like give it some gas to kind of like, get through that section quickly enough. I don't want that front end to just like drop super fast and unsettle the truck and have it possibly flip over or anything. So that's why I typically like the thicker shock oil and stuff.
I'm thinking a little bit more about what you're saying with 42.5 with the servo and axle mounting.
That was my only reason for it. I mean, I had 42.5 and 47.5, but I think 47.5 would have been just too much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Thing would have been a board.
I wonder. So I was almost thinking like, because that's really interesting. I feel like 42.5. This is a whole rabbit hole, really, but like I wonder if 42.5, but building some rebound into it would be good. Because I'm wondering about like the weight will obviously pull it down a little bit faster and has to kind of work through the pack, but on the initial compression, it being heavier won't really help. I don't know. That's interesting. I need to play with that at some point. See if you like that first.
Yeah, I think I will. I mean, just running through like the reasoning in my mind and everything as to why I would want it to be that way, but
I'm not saying I disagree. I think there's a good argument.
Yeah, no, I didn't think you were. It's the best. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm going to apply what I know and just kind of hope for the best possible solution. And so that's what made sense in my mind, but we'll try it and see. I didn't build any like preload or anything into it, because remember how we were talking about having that softer front spring, right? So that when you do reach that point of where the front end starts to unload on really steep stuff, it's going to go slower. And with having a softer spring in conjunction with thicker oil, you don't have that spring trying to rebound and push the entire car backwards, like have the front end start extending as it gets to that tipping point,
Yeah.
So that's the reason for the light springs on the front. So I mean, this is all just stuff that I was thinking in my head, and so far it's like the spring rates and oil and stuff's worked out really well. But I'm really, really happy with the spring rates on them though. Like that green front, gray rear, I'm pretty satisfied with that on either truck. I think that's definitely the way to go, just for that reason, when the front end starts to unload.
I think that'll definitely be like what goes on the default setup for sure.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement there. I think that the only reason I was kind of thinking about because I usually don't like any rebound. Like I try and build a shock as dead as possible. But no, I was just thinking about that a little bit as far as kind of if you're looking to kind of have it sort of pushed back down.
I tried to build it in with like, I don't even know what you would call this, like what negative preload. Like basically I built the shocks with the bleeder caps to where it starts to suck the shaft back in a little bit.
So negative rebound.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's what we call
it, for lack of a better word. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I built it with that, and I was able to fix that point where the piston, since I run my shocks upside down, I was able to get a lot of that air out, because remember before without the bleeder caps, as soon as the piston gets to, the very like top of its stroke, it runs out of oil if the shocks are upside down and it's air. So it's real squishy, and then it can like unload really fast, because you've got like resistance, and then boom, it's free all of a sudden.
Were you running them upside down on Friday?
Yes.
I did not even notice. Okay.
Yeah.
That explains a lot about what you're saying then.
Yeah, but that's only when it's like full down travel. It would get to the point where, you run out of oil and the piston's just trying to pass through air. But that was the big reason why I wanted to try the bleeder caps, is so that, I thought that would be really good in conjunction with what I was thinking with trying to build the shocks to where it's not going to, once you hit that tipping point, it's not going to shift the weight back and get the front end light and unload it. So
that makes sense. I see.
I'm really, really excited to go drive it again though, just because I had so much fun the other day.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah, it was just a good feeling. It was like one of those nights that you just sleep really good. You're like, okay, you know what? We came out with a really good package here for people, and I feel good about what they're going to get. So it was a lot of fun.
No, it's exciting.
Yep. Good stuff.
I noticed too, I don't know how recently we talked about this, but I came across a lot of, while we're on the subject of shocks, across a lot of posts just today, even about like RTR shocks leaking and stuff.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
I feel like we're kind of getting into that wave again of, another, group of like newer people getting into the hobby or getting elements and stuff like that, or kind of running into the RTR shock leaking thing, that this might be worth bringing up again. Because one of the things that, like, if this isn't something that you're familiar with, or this is something that you ran into recently, like basically what happens sometimes is that like a lot of RTRs, and this isn't just an element problem, but a lot of RTRs will arrive to you with the shocks leaking, and there's kind of the whole like, are they junk? Is something broken? Anyone else run into this? And I mean, the answer is the people run into it all the time. And there's really good reason for why it happens, right? And so, but one of the things that I kind of always summarize this anytime I try and jump into one of these and help is that any RTR you get, whether it's leaking or not, like just always rebuild them. Like always rebuild them. I'm a little OCD about it. You don't need to do what I do, but like I would even replace the seals on them. But like, just flat out rebuild it, put get slime or any other lube that you've got in there, get in there and like just do a full clean rebuild and do what you got to do, kind of put your touch on it, because the shocks when they're like pre-built, everything, a lot of them are they're all built in like China or Taiwan, right? The shocks just go through so many different pressure and temperature changes and tons of different environments, whether it be they come over on boat or, then get to you via plane or last mile carrier, et cetera. Like you're just putting it through a ton of different circumstances, all of which vastly affect how it has a really big impact on the shock, and then like the fidelity of the build. And so the best way I could illustrate this was when I used to do a lot of racing. I wouldn't build my shocks until I got to if I was traveling, I wouldn't build my shocks until I got to the event, whether we were driving there or flying, because there was no point for me to do them ahead of time, because whatever I do would be voided by the different air pressure and temperature, humidity, all that stuff wherever I was actually going, and I would have to build them to the environment there. Crawling is not that intensive, so like you wouldn't necessarily need to do this, but technically you should, if you wanted it to be true, like perfectly consistent. But yeah, I would always just do that ahead of time. And if they leak, it's just one of those things. Like if you're opening it up and it's leaking, I mean, pressure builds up. It's got to go somewhere, and where's it going to go first? The seals, right? So, like, a shock that leaks can be a good shock, and like for the element ones, for example, they are. You're not going to find anything better. But a shock that doesn't leak doesn't make it a good shock, if that makes sense. And I see people going down that rabbit hole all the time, like, who has shocks that don't leak? I'm like, well, that's not really the problem.
Yeah,
that's not what you're looking
right
for
the first time, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, like it's just kind of one of those things. Like it's just like an accepted evil. Like you just got to do it. And just you might as well just start off that way, because you're going to have to do it in the future anyways.
The Operation 11 Charlie Ecto, it has a leaky shock, like pretty substantially. So, I mean, that's how it is, So I'm just going to pull them apart, going to do X-rings in them with green slime, put it back together and call it good. It's just it's part of the RTR upgrade checklist, rebuild the shocks, replace a steering servo. That's pretty much like the two things you can plan on no matter what when it comes to a new rig.
Yeah.
And plus the people in the factory too, it's like, they're trying to crank out as many as they can, and I'm assuming they have like quotas and stuff like that, but you also don't want to like screw the cap down too tight and have the O-ring twist inside and have it leak. So
they have their quality thresholds that they have to meet, and that if you got it leaking, it doesn't mean it was leaking at the factory, but at the same time, they're not going to treat it like it's an art either.
Yeah,
and even if all that other stuff, like the science behind it, wasn't true, it isn't you that is building them. So, to me, that's good enough reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Well, even when I built my shocks back in the day, like when you used to get the kits, it's like that was the part I hated the most, because I was like, I know I'm going to get done with this and it's going to leak no matter what I do.
Yeah, the green slime helps a ton. Like that's pretty much like you do that, they'll last quite a while. I mean, I rebuilt mine. So I'm on my third rebuild on my EPX truck. The first time lasted almost a year, I want to say. So I mean, I'm happy with that. It's just kind of a routine maintenance thing. But like with kits, I'm there with you. Like with building kits, like doing the shocks and the diffs, like the messy stuff is my least favorite.
Yeah, you used to go diffs, turnbuckles, or links, and then shocks for me. Those would be
the links.
three.
I've got like my own like system down to where I use like my hex wrenches as T handles, and so I can build links pretty quick. It does, but you know what I did that helped a ton is I took old set of STRC shock shaft pliers, and I closed them in a vise, like held them in the closed position, and then I drilled out one of the shaft holes so that it's 4 millimeters so that it can clamp down on a link, and I can just hold them with, I've got like my own special set of link pliers. Hiccuping. Sorry.
I have a bench vise here, and I put the link in I have a bunch I cut my paper towels and my blue shop towels. I cut them up into a bunch of smaller squares, because oftentimes I don't need a whole shop towel unless I need to lay it down for something. So I'll take the link, and then I'll like kind of cradle it in one of these blue squares just to protect the link itself. And then I'll drop it into the bench vise, and then from there, once I put the once I put some of the assembly grease on the rod end, then I can start to thread it in, and that seems to work okay.
I don't do grease on the rod end, but I do take a body reamer to it and just bevel the edge where it starts to thread on.
You should put some of the. You should put some of the. I mean, any of them. The red of like the marine grease. You should put that in the threads next time. It's much easier.
Yeah, I'll have to try that. Yeah, I've always just used a body reamer and just kind of give it a little bit of a taper to it, and then they'd go right on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've always just taken my 4mm tap and just tap them all the rod ends. That way it just goes on like butter.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I got that idea with back mainly from when I used to make my own links, because if you didn't have like 4mm material, and honestly I don't have a lathe, so I can't take a 3/16 rod and then turn it down and all that stuff. So what we used to do was take 3/16 rod and use a 1024 tap on it, or a die, and you'd be able to actually, it'd take some work, but you could force it on there and it would actually cut those threads in there. And then you would have to, because it's such a large diameter, use the same tap to do the rod ends. And then one time I was doing a kit and I said, you know what, it'll take me 5 more minutes, just take all the rod ends out, hit them with the die, and see what happens. So, and then after that I was like, man, it's like butter now. So then actually what I used to start doing is a lot of my rod ends, when I'd actually pre-thread them and leave them in my spare parts box, so when you're on the trail and you have to repair something, you're not trying to mess around with it. You just put it right back together, move on.
Yeah.
So
Cool idea.
Yep, that's my only thing. I mean, links were never really that hard, or at least were never that big of a pain in the butt to me. It was always shocks. But I do got to say, the SCX6, those shocks are not leaking and they're massive.
I think it's probably easier the bigger they get too. You've got just more volume. I think there's probably a little bit less pressure inside of them too.
It's definitely a wider margin of error for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were like forced to get familiar with rebuilding shocks, just because when it comes to like racing and stuff, it's not like crawling like with racing. It's like you build your shocks after every race. You go through and rebuild them. You do your diffs, do your shocks. That's just kind of part of it. And sometimes you're at a race and you're completely changing out your shock package and going with something different, or changing pistons. So I mean, it's one of those things that you're just like, all right, I just need to accept the fact that this is going to suck and I have to do it all the time, and that's just part of this. So that's kind of the philosophy with the crawler stuff too. It's like, well, I don't get too worked up over leaky shocks or anything. It's just kind of part of the game.
I used to do them twice a weekend. Used to do them Friday morning, and then I would do them straight south that, and that would last me through practice and qualifying, and then I would do them before mains on Sunday. Do that and tear the whole car apart on Sundays. I can't say I missed that.
Yeah, I almost said the exact same
can't
thing
say
just
I missed
now.
that part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess I'm just lazy. I don't really tear nothing apart until there's an issue.
I've got a couple more sets to do. I got to order a bunch more X rings. I had another package of those green HBO rings, Trav. That's what I used on my
nice
truck this last time. Yeah. I found an unopened envelope of those. I was like, oh, I'm going to go with these guys. Those were good O-rings. I like those.
Those are great. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, one interesting note with the bleeder caps, the pivot ball area is captured on those. It doesn't float like the Enduro ones. I don't have like a whole ridiculous amount of flex or articulation, so I'm not super worried about it, but it's something to be mindful of, because depending on your setup, that could create a bind issue.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it caught me by surprise, and I
Are they
failed to
still kind of
mention that
loose
in
though,
any of
or
my
are they going
posts.
to need to break in?
They wobble side to side. You know, like you can rotate them, but they're definitely like you press them in with a, you know, with your shock shaft pliers
Got it.
pivot ball tool.
Okay.
So I don't think it'll be a big deal. I had to use
Sure.
normal balls on them though, because then if I would have used the longer shock mounts, it would have moved the spacing off, and it would have been super, super wide at the bottom, and it probably would have cut down on my steering angle, because it's already kind of right at that point where I can't do much more with having the cap at the bottom right next to the steering knuckle now.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah. It's like a opposite effect to everything you do.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
do this and it's going to affect this area, or but yeah, that was the
It's always
first
a
thing I thought
balance.
was the articulation. I was kind of concerned about that. And I was like, man, this thing doesn't even flex a full tire height. Like, I'm going to be fine, but somebody else may not be necessarily. ProTech has a new servo.
Oh yeah.
1,000 ounces of torque. Did you see the video for that with it lifting the gym weights?
No, I didn't.
They've got a servo horn with a bunch of like dumbbell weights attached to it with some chain, and the servo's just in her lifting it up and down. It's pretty
Damn.
wild. Yeah, kind of a monster. I'm looking for the specs right now. 4.8 to 8.4. Operating speed at 8.4 is 0.11. That's quick. 8.4 volts, 1,080 ounces of torque.
Damn.
That is beastly. What else is new? Let's look through AMAIN here really quick. Just arrived. Nothing that we care about. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. That was kind of a weird move. J Concepts with they've had some interesting tires that they've released lately. They've got ones that look like cut boggers. Or no, not cut boggers. They just look like boggers, I guess. Called the Hold. And then the weird one that they released was Flame Kings, which is like their mud truck tire. They released those in a 1.9. Which might look cool on like an Ecto or something. They're pretty aggressive looking tire. But it was just kind of one of those things like, man, not many people need like, you know, chevron pattern tractor style tires on a 1.9 rig. But cool though for somebody that wants to build a smaller mud truck, I guess. Vanquish has a 4.75 tire out now. Let's see. Not a whole lot. It's kind of slow in the scale department here lately.
Yeah, it's been slow with releases and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of the next wave. I hate saying it, but it really is kind of like the next wave of people being short on stuff and shipping delays.
And
Yeah.
unless you want to talk about that awesome Axial release.
Oh, the limited edition one?
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's all right. I think we covered that. We'll behave.
did you guys talk about that last time?
No.
Oh,
But
okay.
we had a post on the Facebook page for the
Oh,
podcast.
that's right. Yeah.
People were very free with their opinions. I don't
Yeah.
understand it, but maybe I'm not supposed to understand it.
Well, like I said, my whole thing is, and I'm just gonna keep it short. My whole thing is, I don't get the justification in the price.
Yeah.
To me, there's not $1,000 worth. I mean, for like $100, $200 more, you can buy yourself an SCX6, which you actually get the, value out of that. With that car, the tires are too small for it. It's a portal rig again, which I know some people just live for portals, and that's, they lose their, minds when another rig comes out that has portals. And, it's like, I get the whole, limited edition, if there was something limited kind of about
right,
it.
like, you
like
can't even justify the price with, like, the exclusivity of it, because, like, still, what are you getting?
Well, it's
They're
good.
just, making 25 of them. Like, okay, well, cool, I could do that too.
There's no authenticity. You get what I'm saying? Or any kind of branding that tells you this is a limited run. Like when they did
there's a sticker that has the number, and I guess that's it.
Oh, really?
Because I was gonna say the SCX 24, when that at least came out with the the Betty, at least they numbered, the frame has a number on them, so you know what number you have. Whereas this is like, it's just, like you said, it's just a sticker.
I was joking around with somebody about it the other day that, we were kind of talking about like the whole reasoning behind it, trying to understand it. And I kind of made the joke like, well, maybe they were overstocked on 1.9 pre-mounts, like maybe they had a bunch of pre-mounted 4.19 high racks on plastic wheels, and they're like, man, we got to get rid of some of these. Let's do 25 limited edition rigs with some really odd wheel tire choices on them.
Yeah.
What were you saying about editing?
I thought you were about to say something that was going to make me edit this show.
Oh no, I was trying to be good. I'm just saying, like it was a weird move, and I was trying to understand it. That's all.
There may just not be understanding it.
Even myself being an Axial fan, I still question the reasoning to it.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. They'll probably sell them though. There'll be somebody that's like, ooh, limited edition.
I mean,
I've got money.
Just on the number alone, just because it's like factor in potential buyers, and then the fact that there's 25 of them, it's like, it's one of those things. Like, there's a pretty high chance they'll just run through it, but I think we're
gonna see somebody keep one in a box, and he's gonna try and offer it for $2,000 or something a year from now. Just wait.
This was
a limited edition release.
A year from now, probably be instant flip, because a year from now, no one's gonna remember they did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Wonder if they're sold out of them already. I'm gonna look.
That'd be really telling if they weren't. It's been 2 weeks? They should be gone by now.
We're gonna find out.
I don't know when they actually went up for sale, but
dude, I have like the worst like hiccups. Like I'll start talking, and then like that I'll like pause because I'm hiccuping and they're not going away.
I hadn't noticed.
Oh, well. Sorry.
Hold your breath.
I don't know if any of that stuff works. CX6 base camp. Huh. I don't see it on their little vehicle roster. Let's see.
Did you say SCS 10.6 or SCX6? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's those two, but that's it. Yeah, I am not seeing it, so it must be all sold out. I'm bummed out that they don't. I wonder if they still have the body. You remember the Ford, like the 1955 Ford that Axial did? They had like the tan one and the green one.
Yeah,
I always thought that was kind of a neat one. I thought that would have been more popular, but you really don't see that body very often anymore. That was a cool truck, though. Yeah, they must be out of them because I am not seeing any limited edition anything.
Looking on their Facebook page, see if I can find the link.
Honcho. The Mike Honcho.
The Mike Conch. If we say that one, then you really have to edit this show.
Oh, they're
I know. Dude, they still have honchos in stock. Horizon does. That's cool.
available via, let's see. Oh, it was a Gladiator. In stock.
Still.
Really? 3 reviews.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Drum roll.
Were you actually able to review it, though, if you were... Oh, yeah, verified reviewers.
I hate reviews.
What a... I shouldn't read these, but... Anyways.
Well, now I feel like you should.
Yeah, I gotta... All right, I'll be honest. All right, so... my favorite review is... there's only 3 of them, so this first one was the guy who gave it 5 stars. It said, beautiful crawler. And said...
That's his first one, then. First truck.
The green paint job really pops on this crawler, and the accessories really complete the look. It has a nice limited edition indicator to identify it as one of only 25 that Axial will produce. This will absolutely appreciate in value over time. That's not how RC cars work.
Does it really say that?
Yeah, I'm reading it word for word. I am so happy with my purchase. 5 stars. Thank you, Nate. Was this review helpful? And 2 thumbs up, 6 thumbs down. Said, nice. There's this one. This guy was the true neutral, 3 stars. Nice rig. No way to authenticate the truck itself. The only number is printed on the packaging. So I have number 4, but once it is removed from the box, there is no way to tell them apart. As I said, nice rig, but no way to authenticate the rig itself. I've confirmed with Horizon that that's what they called numbered on the box. That is it. And then the third one from Kevin. He was less than stoked. He was 2 stars.
Kevin. Come on.
Said, why is it way overpriced? Why is this $1,100? $500 RTR truck, $100 for shocks, and $100 for tires. I can't see $1,100.
Green paint, son.
That was the most helpful review. So, yeah, that is fascinating. So, yeah, that kind of does tell you how much of a... I mean, I don't want to be that guy that's super negative about it, but it's like... That's a miss, because I figured on the numbers alone that they would have been at least... They've run out by now, because they posted this June 16th. And I clicked on the link in that post.
The last time we recorded, I think, is when it first came out.
Or whenever it's, or they're really close. But yeah, I don't know.
I just don't understand it. Like, I think the little accessory pack's only $25 or $30, isn't it?
This was an inflation correction. This was hey, we need to release something of an absurd price point, and then we can soften the blow of having to raise our prices going forward.
Well, we haven't touched on the fact that you have to spend $130 to join their program before you can buy it.
Oh, yeah. I do get to earn...
That's the other weird thing behind this.
I can earn 11,000 points on this item. So how much does that get me?
You will get 10% off your next order of $500 or more.
No.
You know what paint I want to try? Is Traxxas.
Sorry, just real quick. 2,000 points is a $5 discount, so I would get $25 off my order next time.
After you've already spent $130 just to be able to order it, though.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not justifying it. I'm just doing the math.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Totally.
Wait a minute. One of the things, everything you need to start crawling is one of the things, and then right under that is complete your product. This product may require additional items to work out of the box. They didn't look at the plugins either.
Good Lord.
All right. Anyways, enough dogging on that. But yeah, I guess that kind of confirms what we were thinking. That they weren't.
Though, right?
Yeah.
Did we talk about the Traxxas hauler last time we recorded? Because that's new.
I don't believe so.
I'm just gonna say it. That thing's freaking cool. They did a good job on it. Traxxas is kind of doing a good job in the scale department these days.
Well, it's actually funny. The carpenter, the subcontractor that works for us, he was talking to me about that because he always told me like that I wanted to build a some sort of hauler. He's like, I wanted to do the 6x6, but then I'd have to jump he wanted the Traxxas Mercedes one. And he's like, I'm going to have to junk the cab, because it's not what I want. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then all of a sudden this came out. He's like, they built it for me.
Yep. Travis and I found a place today, 110th Rod Shop. It's a outfit that does a lot of the CEN 450 stuff, like really nice F450 parts. They do an actual like tilting, sliding bed setup with linear actuators and everything. So you can actually tilt it and use the winch to pull the car up onto the bed and then tilt it forward again. How much was it, Travis?
$315.
They have.
I felt after I looked at it more, the price kind of justified a little bit.
It's really cool. Like all their stuff's really expensive, but like their 3D printed interior
There's some
for the
labor
F450 is $220 for the 3D printed interior. It's like, ouch.
Jeez.
Yeah,
it looks really good, but man, like,
but it was probably on his printer for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, which I get it. I mean, I know how all that goes. It's just kind of part of it.
Steep.
But I think he could probably make more if he just sold the file to people.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially because I mean, I didn't realize like doing the whole interior at once and tilting it at like a 45. Dude, it's such a beautiful print. It's so much easier. So I wouldn't be shy about trying to print something like that at all anymore.
Going back to this hauler, this is what the TRX-6 should have been originally.
The Mercedes was stupid.
I imagine this actually came out of that they had a surplus of TRX parts, but no demand for the TRXs they were offering already.
Oh, you mean the 6x6? Like they had a bunch of them?
Yeah, I think there was probably a lot of stuff that my guess is they probably just had a little bit of, they needed to justify some costs on some of that original ordering because they didn't really move that many because, why would you? But This is a really cool use case. Like this is, like I said, this is what it should have been.
I want to say Snap-on had a hauler version before Traxxas had the retail one. Traxxas made one for Snap-on tools that was a hauler one. And I think it was like 6 months or so that it was out before this one.
Interesting.
I vaguely remember that.
I'm sure I could probably find it on Google or something.
Yeah, let me look.
They did a good job. I wish they would have done clear windows because this would have been a really easy one with it being like the cab sitting so high up there above the frame rails. You could do a full depth like 3D interior in this with like, actual floor depth to it versus most interiors. It's the perfect rig for that, but they freaking did stickers over the windows. They didn't on the Mercedes version of it. It's like, come on, guys, knock it off. I guess it comes with lights, so that is pretty cool.
That is cool.
That Rod Shop makes fender vents and all kinds of neat stuff for it. So I don't know. I think it's cool. Like it would definitely be off-road capable. Like that part of it would be pretty neat. I don't know. It's just cool that if this is your thing, you can get it. You know what I mean? Like it's neat that it was offered.
It's a good way to bridge the gap between the scale crawler community and the people who have those like ridiculous Tamiya semi trucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like I saw a guy driving one of these around with a Huna truck packed on the back of it, like just cruising around on some trails and stuff. So that was kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, if I had an excess of money, I'd probably pick something like that up. because the F450 is kind of cool. Like, it's neat having a tow rig and stuff. Like, I kind of understand it. It's fun for video and pictures and stuff. But
Oh yeah.
we had a listener that commented about, like, shout out to the guys that have been making their own for the last 10 years or whatever. It's like, like it, just because it's available to everybody now doesn't discredit the people that made them before. It's like somebody's built something, just about everything as a one-off before, and then it'll gain traction and turn into an RTR or something like that. Like you'd see guys trying to build gladiators and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden there is one. Like that's just kind of how this stuff goes. Something cool somebody builds something cool, and then people react to it, and then Traxxas will build something like this, and it's this cool little niche market that they're making it for, and that's cool. But it doesn't detract from custom builders at all. I mean, it's just making something accessible to people that wouldn't have the skill or resource to make one on their own. Like it doesn't take anything away from the people that scratch build stuff. Like it was kind of strange. I didn't really understand the thought process behind that.
I don't know. I think you may also be reading into it a little bit. I think if anything, it's more validating. Like
yeah, you guys did something cool. This is
exactly.
It was so cool that there's an arterial. Yeah, exactly. But what I was saying though is like he just, I don't know, kind of wanted to make a point of saying that, well, people made those first. Those were the first guys that did it. So
that's what I was saying. Like, I think you might be reading that comment a little bit, but I know what he meant. Like, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but yeah, he should feel like, if that is him or someone else, like they should feel validated by it.
Yeah, exactly.
They do feel that way.
Yeah, because it's a cool rig. They did a neat job. I like seeing all the stuff that the 3D printing guys will come up with. Like when I was looking through what Rod Shop makes for this, they make like step pads and like little things that you wouldn't necessarily think of doing for something like this at first, but like right off the bat, looking at it though, like I could see the step pads, door handles, things like that. That'd be pretty cool. I think it is neat that it comes with lights, so I think that was a good move on Traxxas' part. I don't know. They'll probably sell a ton of them. I think it's a great idea. Their little like ZZ Top hot rod Vortec on the back looks pretty good. Like it looks super like scale appropriate on it.
Well, that was the first question that my buddy had. Was he was like, will it actually hold a 1/10 scale rig, or are the tires going to hang off? And the more people seem to get them in their possession, and the more pictures that seem to surface, you could totally tell a 1/10 scale fit on the bed, no problem.
Yeah, they have like wheel chocks set up for the Vortec chassis, it says. So like it's designed to fit their touring car chassis, which is kind of neat. That's smart.
That's pretty cool.
Does it come with the winch? That's what I wanted to check and see, because I saw somebody using a winch. No, you would have to buy a winch for it, but that's no big deal. Pretty darn cool, though. What else do we have? I don't think that we had already covered the base camp and stuff, so I think that's probably it as far as new rigs. Adam and I tried talking about the FMS model, like 1/8 scale or 1/6 scale Suzuki Jimny. They make a big, huge, ridiculous Jimny, which is kind of neat. Oh, and that same company, FMS, they came out with a 24th scale Power Wagon with portals. So I know that there's going to be some dudes out there losing their minds over that one.
Oh, so hey, real quick on the subject of the hauler, someone in that CEN F450 group posted that their F450 fits on the back of their TR6 hauler.
Jesus.
So the back kind of hangs off behind the rear axle, but I mean, it sits up there fine. So there you go.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Now I want to see one in person after that.
God, this thing's
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Wonder if Proline's got their Bronco bodies available to buy yet. They did a 2-door and a 4-door Bronco body with molded plastic grille and mirrors and door handles and stuff. But I'm not seeing it for sale. Huh, interesting. Yeah, it's not on A-Main's site yet. That's interesting. Those are pretty expensive too. I think they're like $75 or $80. What rigs are you taking to Axial Fest, Adam? Just besides the SCX6?
To be honest, I'll probably just bring probably my 10-3 just because it's a reliable rig ready to roll. It has lights and all that crap. And probably just for a backup, my Deadbolt, just because that's another tried and true rig that just always ready to go and just goes everywhere I point it. It's just like a point and shoot rig. It's like really simple. I know I mentioned this like after Axial Fest last year on the show, but I've always contemplated on, do I mess with it anymore? Like, do I get a link kit for it? Do I, change the motor? Like I haven't made up my mind. Like, should I just leave it the way it is or should I mess with it?
That's always the big question, huh?
Well, because it's also the rig I use as my quote unquote loaner. So
yeah,
like last year when my boss went up for the day, he didn't have a rig to drive, so he drove it. And actually last year, Thomas Cook from MKS was out Friday, so I gave him that rig to run. He ran it all day Friday, so that rig like went through its paces last year at Axial Fest.
Does everybody still do like post up their builds for Axial Fest each year and stuff? Like, is that still a thing?
Some do. Like the people that are super like excited about it. Like there's a couple people like actually here while I'm on it right now, I'll go to Axial Fest or Bust. There's been a couple people like there's actually some kind of actual like cool rigs that some people have posted. Like this one person like it's just not your typical, like a lot of people try to go super scale and all that stuff. But like this guy, Bob Hackerson, first time going to Axial Fest. I hope it's worth the $100 and the 10-hour drive. See you there. And it's just not I'm trying to think. It's like, I don't want to sound like mean, but it's like, it's not really your stereotypical crawler. It's, it actually almost is set up more like a basher kind of, but it's got an aftermarket chassis. It's just the tire to body ratio is like really big. But then again, I think this is an old Proline Ford F100. So, but it's a nice looking rig. What else? I'm scrolling through here. There's a couple other people that posted some stuff. A couple people that got their Capras ready to go. What else? There's a guy actually in there. And I don't know if you see this post only because I don't know if you're a member of Axial Fest or Bust.
No, I'm not.
Did you see Tim Thompson? He built a kind of like a moon buggy kind of thing, similar to what you did.
Yeah.
Orange one. Yeah, he shared that in there.
Nice. Right on.
But
That sure
yeah.
is a fun build.
Yeah, so there's a handful. And then the thing that gets kind of like, it's funny because like Todd gets all bent out of shape about this. Like, you know, ever since they came out with Axial Fest Badlands, they're, you know, he kind of just like, he gets all like bent out of shape when people start posting all this Badlands stuff. Cause it's like, you know, it's called Axial Fest or bust. It's not called Axial Fest West Coast or bust. You know, it's so
Axial
like,
Fest, only the one that you like, or bust.
yeah. Well, it's because this has been going on a lot longer than, you know.
Yeah.
But then Todd tries to make it a big deal. He's like, no one ever reads the description.
No one reads anything. Everybody should know that by now.
It's like, it says right here, going to Axial Fest 2022 at Rob's Resort in Pollock Pines. Make sure to show off your rigs, tell people your camping spot, blah, 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 blah. So.
Wow, Proline makes 1.55 wheels now. I don't know how I missed that. Interesting.
Yeah, we're always the slow ones to the party.
Feel so out of touch.
Or they release something after you know, we're done recording and then we gotta wait.
Yeah, till the next time. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Well,
Sorry, I gotta stretch. Oh yeah, we're almost at your time cutoff, aren't we? Boy, that went by quick.
yeah,
That was a spectacular stretch.
that was a really good stretch. I'm leaving that in.
Okay.
Since you haven't blessed anyone with any of your, you know,
Foghorn. It's the Kindle curse, man. My dad had a honker too whenever he would blow his nose. It was crazy. It'll happen to Travis when he's older.
A honker.
It is.
I
It's
really loud
ridiculous
sneezes. Just
sounding.
like I'm playing games with my friends or something. I just have horribly violent sneezes that come out of nowhere. Just one big one. And it always scares the hell out of them.
Do your sneezes ever hurt you? Like
Only-
under your arms? Like,
Only those ones.
did you hurt though? Like, do you feel it like in your bones? Like,
Yeah, I kind of just cease for a minute. I just
Dude.
gotta relax after that happens.
So
It's
like, if you put your arm up, like you're gonna flex or something, and you push under your bicep, there's, you know, you've got your bone right up there, right? And you know how it's kind of, if you push hard enough, your handle kind of tingle and stuff, like pins and needles.
Uh-huh.
Well, right deep inside there on both arms, when I sneeze, it is the gnarliest pain. Like, it's just a shooting pain that goes through both of my arms, and it generates like right up like your upper arm bone, you know, like, I don't know, what is that, your humerus? Is that what it's called?
Sure.
But anyways, yeah, that, I'm not sure why, but those sneezes don't feel good. So just know that if you think you have it bad having to hear me sneeze, it's not half as bad as having to feel that sneeze.
Interesting. Yeah, I've only had a couple bad sneezes, and it doesn't normally hurt me anywhere like that. It's normally it's like weird. It'll almost like hurt me in like the sinus portion, like, you know, that part in your mouth where it connects your nose to your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll get a couple of those, and you're just like, and it kind of like hurts, like you're just like, what the hell? But that's usually after a really bad sneeze. I don't get those a lot. Maybe once every other year.
Sneezing kills. I don't know why, but I mean, dude, it hurts so stinking bad. Be nice if it didn't. Do you sneeze when, like, from bright light or anything like that?
No, mine is more like dust. Like, especially lately, the job site's been super dusty. Oh, like I'll just be, you know, doing something, and it's like, you know, and we're still at that you know, phase with everything going on that you're like, you know, people freak out when you sneeze and stuff. So it's like, I hate being in the middle of talking, and then like I have to like bolt out the door, and then I sneeze and I come back in. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And they're like, they kind of like look at you like, and it's like, well, what? You want me to sneeze in here?
Just trying to be polite. Yeah,
So,
that's rough.
but yeah, so it's pretty much like dust. Like dust gets me really bad.
I hate it. I hate it all. Well, I guess we should get jamming then since Travis has to go.
Okay.
Yep, gotta go. But yeah, that was fun.
Yes. Thank you guys. And I guess next episode, maybe we'll kind of run everybody through what our plans are.
Okay.
So until then, we'll see you guys later.
See you.
See it.